Hey guys, welcome to my very first read-along vlog or reading vlog. I was looking to do something for December that was particularly Christmassy, beyond in December and that kind of stuff. And then I was checking my BookBub email. I love BookBub. And I came across Klaus, Legend of the Fat Man. And I don't know if you can quite respect the weirdness of that cover, so I'm gonna put it up here real quick. Yeah, it is that crazy. It is that delightfully weird. It is Sci-Fi Santa. What if Santa but sci-fi? And I'm gonna read you the synopsis real quick. In the early 1800s, Nicholas, Jessica, and John Santa, it is their last name, attempt the first human trek to the North Pole and stumble upon an ancient race of people left over from the Ice Age. They are short, fat, and hairy. They slide across the ice on scaly soles and carve their homes in the ice that floats on the Arctic Ocean. The Elven are adapted to life in the extreme cold. They are as wise as they are ancient. Their scientific advancements have yielded great inventions, time-stopping devices, and gravitational spheres that build living snowmen, and genetically modified reindeer that leap great distances. They've even unlocked the secrets to aging. For 40,000 years they've lived in peace. Until now. An elven known as the Cold One has divided his people. He's tired of their seclusion and wants to conquer the world. Only one elven stands between the Cold One and total chaos. He's white-bearded and red-coated. The Santa family will help him stop the Cold One. They will come to aid the legendary elven known as Klaus. Or Claus, depending. The name is actually pronounced Klaus, but it is Santa. And I love this. I love this setup so much. Just the idea of sci-fi Santa with genetically modified reindeer in the 1800s, because that works. That's how that happens. I am not expecting this to be a literary masterpiece. I am expecting it to be campy sci-fi fun. I'm also going to be reading this in pieces, mostly because I don't know what witchcraft it is that lets people just sit and read a book for hours and hours until they finished it and they can be vlogging the entire time, but I am not like that. This is the first book I'm going to be reading for the month of December because I just have to know. I need to know the details of Sci-Fi Santa. So I will get started and I will let you know how it goes. Okay, so right out of the gate, this is intense. The main character, or at least the current character, Nick, is describing walking through the snowstorm and the Inuit people that had led them thus far have basically abandoned them, and he's trying to walk through a snowstorm trying to find them, and he has his this rope tied around his waist back to the tent to find his way back, but someone's cut it. So like right out of the gate, like if this wasn't some big spoof of Santa Claus, like this would be a really intriguing premise. So this might be more serious than I expected, but I'm kind of here for it. Okay, I might be wrong about which character Santa Claus was supposed to be because they're talking about the Santa Claus family. So it's Nicholas, his wife, and their son, Nicholas and Jessica Santa. And they talk about Nicholas had an uncanny ability to be liked by every person he met. It was the way he laughed, the way his cherub cheeks became rosy when he guffawed from deep in his belly, and the bright twinkle in his eyes. So sounds more like Santa to me. And his wife's name is Jessica. And I actually looked it up. The original claymation Santa Claus is Coming to Town has Mrs. Claus' name as Jessica. And so, is that just like canon? Is that canon that her name is Jessica? How old is the name Jessica? I feel like I need to look that up now. Still going well though. Just kind of trying to figure out who's supposed to be the actual Santa. So we have just met the elves for the first time and they are weird. It's the best way I can describe it. They're very fat, very round. Their arms hang down near their feet, but when one tries to bow, his hand can't make it all the way across because his belly is so round. Like, trying to imagine, like, these are not the elves you think of at all. Almost kind of come across as like trolls, but one is named Mary and the other one is named Nog. So if there's not someone named Egg, I'm going to be really annoyed. But yeah, so their names are still Christmassy, and they speak English for some reason. Not sure why. Still cool. There's an orientation video. The elves have an orientation video, and the audio won't sync up with the picture. Oh, there we go. There's the campiness I was hoping for. Oh, good. Couple things. One, to the elven, being called human is a huge insult. So that was interesting. And two, the human characters that are spending time around the elven, Jessica and her son John, might be turning into them. They're like changing slightly, be a little more hairier, their skin a little bit more thicker. And Nicholas is currently stuck in a hole with a broken leg. So, not good there. But seriously, this is really entertaining, actually. The reindeer are blue. They're genetically engineered, and they're blue. I like it. Now there's a red-nosed reindeer pulling the big sleigh. They have sleighs now, but they kind of just like pulled out of a bag and they were suddenly big. Keep in mind, the year is supposed to be 1820, so like the humans don't know jack, but the elven are like straight out of the future, like future to us even. And I like there's a part where they talk about how magic is what you call something you don't understand. This is science. So like the elven have like a really good grasp on science, whereas the humans are like, what is this? And now we have Jack's point of view, Jack Frost, and he's singing Silent Night to himself. I'm really feeling the holiday spirit, guys. Okay, hold up. Klaus or whatever his name is, apparently is like the royal scientist for Jack, who is apparently a king or something, and is referring to the other elves that help the other humans as rebels. This is a wrench in the works. What you doing, Klaus? I don't know. I'm about 30 pages in at this point, which I realize I'm probably going way too deep with the vlogs, but there's just so much to unpack. Klaus does wear a red coat. And also, I think I'm interested in this, the, like, don't know how to show you, like, there's different size fonts depending on whether or not someone's yelling. So, like, it's not just exclamation points. Like, the font gets giant, which I actually kind of like. I feel like that translates way better into yelling than just straight up caps. So this book has a reason for how Santa knows whether or not you're good or bad. Nick has this like halo around his head, like this metallic band around his head. And according to Klaus, the halo interprets brain activity. We could do it without the halo in a wireless fashion, but the halo is more accurate. We know your name, where you've been, what you've done, whether you've been good or bad. Science for why Santa knows. I will never see Santa Claus coming to town the same way again. So Nicholas Santa is fat now. The main character that's been caught he's with Klaus with Jack Frost is now fat because they're insulating him. So they're basically like genetically modifying these people. That's why they were changing earlier. They're being modified through nanotechnology. Sure. Okay, things are getting good. Apparently, Jack and Klaus are actually brothers, and Klaus has a son, the little thinner green elf that's been helping him. So this is a whole like royal family nonsense going on. I'm into it. So the reindeer aren't always blue. They can change their color back to white, and they don't actually fly as much as they have weird extra skin on their legs that allows them to glide. They're essentially flying squirrels. So they don't fly, they do gigantic leaps. It's great. John Santa, Nick's son, might have a love interest. Her name is Tinsel, and she's the reindeer herder, and of course she gives all the names, and guess what their names are? All of it, except the one with the red nose is named Ronan for some reason. Not Rudolph. So I call foul on that one. But I'll let it slide. So Jack has blue skin and like this kind of flamboyant personality. he literally says, in other words, I'm awesome. So now I can imagine him as like the snow miser from A Year Without a Santa Claus, that old claymation. And I know I'm referencing the claymations a lot, but I love them. They're my favorite. So now in my mind, he's the snow miser, which is making this whole thing even more fun to read. They're draining Nicholas's memories as part of Jack Frost's like evil plan, and it's really like bittersweet because the moments that he's thinking about the memories are so sweet, but they're literally stealing his memories from him to, I guess, make a clone that they're gonna put with plague, send back to humanity to kill humanity with plague. Jack Frost has got some weird ideas, and there's a little bit of an eco, almost like an eco-terrorist vibe where like Jack is basically blaming humanity for pollution and stuff, which is only 1820s, so like the Industrial Revolution isn't even fully underway yet. But yeah, Jack Frost is basically an eco-terrorist in here and is using Nicholas Santa to try to take down all of humanity and stealing his memories first to make a clone, and now I'm sad because they were really cute memories. Okay, so Tinsel's explaining to John what a time snapper device is. And she says, if you had one, you could activate it and everything around you would appear to freeze in time. You could travel around the world in a single night. This is a fantastic backstory. Oh, so instead of explaining everything of Santa with magic, you explain everything with sci-fi. And to me, that's better. Okay, so the Jack Frost, like, creepy little six-legged beasts found where the colony of rebels was hiding, and now the rebels have their abominable snowmen going out, so there's, like, literal battle happening in a storm, and this is way more action than I was expecting in this kind of book. So Jack Snow's figured out how to track the rebel colony, and John Santa essentially got half frozen to death when the sleigh ride went wrong. I don't know how to explain it better than that without going into too much detail. So now they're doing some diagnosis, some medical thing that will probably bring him back to life, but it'll wipe away his memory, which makes me think that he's going to turn into like another big Christmas character, but I can't think of what that would be. Like, I'm trying to think of like what other major part of the Christmas myth that John could turn into. And, like, nothing's coming to mind unless it's another one of, like, the side characters from the, like, claymations. Like, the miner dude, or what is he called? The Mountaineer? I gotta look it up. But, yeah, I'm wondering. I'm trying to guess. So Jessica realized that they were following the colony through her mind. Like, they could trace her brain pattern, apparently. And John is still comatose, and Nick is getting more of his memories drained. Like, it is that point in the book where just everything is bad. And I'm about halfway through. Maybe a little bit past halfway through. So that means that things are going to keep getting bad before they get better. And I don't want them to. My heart is hurting. John and Tinsel, who I'm pretty sure are going to end up together, are feeding the reindeer. And Tinsel is essentially having to explain his parents to him, who his parents were, because he doesn't remember them at all. And, like, just that alone is so sad. Oh, this book was supposed to be campy and fun. I wasn't supposed to be sad. So Jack definitely has all the camp in this story. He was just talking about in his monologue. He monologues so much, but I don't mind because it's always kind of semi-psychotic, snow misery, and filled with references that are way beyond the year 1899. Even though he did say they were going to party like it was 1899. He talks about how, when you're just so excited for some day to come, like if someone promises to bring you a whole bunch of presents and you just can't sleep the night before. Like, all the little references to the holidays is making me laugh. Which is good because we're still at the very, very dark time. Alright, it looks like we're gearing up. We've got everyone returning back to the palace, either in defeat or to attack or to have a secret plan, and Nicholas's memories are all gone, and it's kind of sad. Klaus's memories are all gone too. He drained them himself. Did I mention that? I feel like that's gonna I don't know, I don't want to say it, but I have some ideas on what they're doing with both of them having memories gone. But it definitely looks like we're gearing up for the final battle, and I'm just... Jack Frost is wearing a bow tie for his big epic ceremony. He's wearing a bow tie. I don't know why that's so amusing to me, but it is. Seriously, this dude is Snow Miser, and I love it. So, the big party's going on. Jack has got this all put together, and he's shooting a t-shirt cannon. See, this was the crazy weirdness I was hoping for when I started this. It's here now. It's all Jack Frost's doing. Or, guys, he's never called Jack Frost here. He's either the Cold One or Jack, but it's Jack Frost. And it's the craziest, weirdest, most wall-breaking meta strangeness that's been in the whole book, and I love it. So Klaus was about to unleash his big plan to defeat Jack using what they call an A-bomb, an abominable snowman bomb, essentially, but, like, lost his heart at the last second. I think he's going to try to talk him down. I kind of really go for that brother being forced to face brother across enemy lines thing, like, you know, the Civil War stories or Prince of Egypt, like that kind of, they are brothers, but they're forced to fight each other. So it's, like, weirdly hitting me, that whole, you know, you're evil and I have to take you down, but still feeling guilt at trying to do it at the last second. Ugh. Why is this book hitting me in the heart so much? Okay, there is like a Christmassy ending, because I was wondering, well, not an ending, I'm not quite there yet, but like the climax is very Christmassy, which I was hoping, because like Christmas stories are always overly sweet and love is the answer. And so it's finally Klaus and his mother and Jack, who I don't think I've mentioned before, his like given name is Janak. Jack is what he called himself, had turned blue and cold and evil because he'd basically been pushed away by both his brother and his mother, and they both realize this, and so as they're surrounded by this giant storm and everything is kind of going to hell, they're basically like having a heart-to-heart, which, if this wasn't a Christmas-inspired sci-fi, I would think was the most out-of-left-field random nonsense, like if this was a regular sci-fi. But knowing that this is supposed to be like a Santa Claus Christmas sci-fi makes total sense, and I am feeling very, I don't know. Oh, and the other big thing is that turns out Nicholas' memories weren't completely stolen from him. They were hidden. That Klaus had actually hidden them to make it look like he was draining them, and he wasn't. So I was really happy. So there's still only John's memories gone, but Nick still has his, so that's cute. So the A-bomb is destroying everything, and everything is falling apart. The ice floe is just coming apart, and everyone's trying to escape, and Nick went into the water with Klaus and Jack, and I don't know how to pronounce the mother's name. Josa, something. And so we're back to everything being horrible, but there's only like, 15 pages left in the book, so I feel like this is gonna be wrapped up real quick. Hopefully, I don't know how much longer I can take this. I called it. I was wondering why Klaus was, or Claus, I guess, as we now know it is pronounced, was taking all of his own memories off, and the whole point was that he wanted to leave his memories behind for the next leader. And what you know, who he decided to put those memories into is Nick. So Nick now has all of his memories back, on top of also having Claus's. Keep wanting to say Klaus. So now he is Santa Claus. He is both the human man that came to the Arctic and the elven leader. So I did not expect that going in. I started to suspect like 2/3 of the way through. I probably, if I was thinking about it, could have caught it earlier, but it's kind of cool. Although I'm pretty sure the actual like body of the original Claus is dead, which is sad. But this is probably the best outcome comparatively. It's not the darkest ending anyway. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the first ho ho ho, as Santa Claus, newly reawakened with his memories and greeting all of the elves by name and being very merry in general, started laughing, and the laughing turned to ho ho ho's. I was wondering, I was waiting. We are like not even 3 pages from the end, maybe 5. It's always hard to tell on ebooks, and now we get the ho ho ho. You made me wait for it, Tony. Nicholas and Jessica are back together, and I just realized, like, just before it happened, they spend virtually the entire book apart. Literally, like, the first thing that happens is Nicholas leaves, and they spend the rest of the book apart. But, they don't, makes me love their romance even more, to be honest. I always love a good reunion. And at last, we have ended with Santa Claus going on the first trip around the world using the genetically modified reindeer and the sci-fi technology that allows him to go all around the world in one night. And it is delightful. It was adorable. I need a second to kind of put my thoughts together. It might be another day before I actually do a final review. This has probably been really long. I don't know. I've been doing it in very short bursts, but this was so, I'm so glad I read this, you guys. Alright, it is the next day, or next night rather, and I've had some time with my thoughts, and I've come to the conclusion that yes, I do love this book. I often have to sit with my thoughts after a book is done because I tend to love the thing a lot more right after I've just finished it than when I've actually had time to think about the plot. But the more I think about it, the more I love it. This is definitely a book that you have to be aware of what you're getting into. There is camp, a lot of camp. Not as much as I was expecting. I was honestly expecting there to be just like non-stop parody type storylines or names, and to be honest, there were. But I was expecting it to be just funny and in a B movie through and through. I wasn't expecting the heart and the action and the genuine fear and the bittersweet memories. The ending was definitely cheesy. And as I mentioned before, had it been another sci-fi book, one that wasn't trying to be Christmassy, it probably would have put me off that it was that over the top cheese. But because it was Christmas and because cheesiness and sentimentality and warm fuzzies are such a part of the holidays, I thought that that was an excellent addition. In short, I loved this book, and I did a tiny bit of research, meaning that it's part of the ebook and I don't actually look it up. Tony Bertowski has done an entire, not a series because they're not chronological. They are 6 standalone books focusing on the sci-fi versions of the characters you meet. Ronan, the stand-in for Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, and I believe you have Flurry, one of the abominables that the elves created, which I believe is essentially supposed to be Frosty the Snowman, or at least this universe's version, and you can jump in and read any of those. Probably won't this year, only because my December TBR is just packed between in December and the Yule Witchathon. So I don't have time to take on any more, but this definitely might be something I come back to next year if I just make a Tony Bertowski sci-fi Christmas story part of my yearly celebration. But yeah, so I apologize for how long this video is. I know we're probably coming about 25 minutes more or less, but a good reading vlog is always a little bit longer. If you'd like to read this book yourself, it is currently free. The ebook version is, at least, but if you have the smartphone, you can read ebooks on that, which I do a lot of the time. Thank you so much for coming with me, and I will see you in the next one. But until then, have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.